Hey everybody, welcome to Doggin' It, presented by Diamond Bird Dogs. It is the new video interview series we're going to have for everybody, interviewing interesting people such as my good friend here, Trey Adkins. We are out here right now at Auburn Oaks Farm in one of the lodge houses they have, but we are talking to the manager, the general manager of Twin Oaks Plantation.
Yep.
Correct?
That's right.
Good deal. And Trey and I actually met when Diamond Bird Dogs was set up using Enon Plantation's kennels last year. And we found a friendship through bird dogs and through gun dogs, just through wing shooting in general, just dogs. So this video series is going to be interviewing some cool guys in the industry and getting their story and what attracts them to dogs, what attracts them to wing shooting, and we might even have a sip of something nice every now and then on it, and we're going to see how it evolves. I'm excited.
Yeah.
Well, let's get into it. So I guess we should start with a little background on you and, you know, what you went to Auburn University. I think you were a year ahead of me in a different major, similar but different major, wildlife ecology, right?
Yep, that's right. That's right.
Right, and so you graduated and you went straight to South Carolina after you graduated.
Correct.
Okay, I got you.
Yep.
So run with that a little bit. Tell us what your story is from college to afterward, right? From
right.
college to now.
Okay.
I don't want to hear about your weird childhood or anything.
Yeah, no, better leave that for another day.
Private discussion.
Yeah, so like you said, graduated from Auburn with a degree in wildlife ecology and management. Moved directly to a large private plantation in South Carolina as a wildlife technician.
Right.
Which is the low man on the totem pole. But it was, a really great place to go learn.
Mm-hmm.
Probably learn more there in the short time that I was there than, I don't know, probably my whole life.
Right.
As far as wildlife management goes.
And especially from in college, you think you know stuff in college.
Correct.
And then you learn pretty quickly once you're out of college that, hey, it takes some experience.
You get a good knowledge of what things need to be
right
in college, but you really don't get this is how you do it.
Right.
And that plantation is where I learned really how to do it.
Yeah. Toss that over there. There we go.
Like I said, was only there about 7 months. Then took a manager's position down in Blakely, Georgia.
Right.
Another private place. Was there for 3.5 years before I came back home.
Mm-hmm.
Was home for a year on a small place.
And home for you is right here.
Yes.
In Opelika, Auburn, Opelika.
Yeah, I was born and raised in Opelika.
Right.
Grew up, hunting, fishing.
And you grew up with the owners here, the family, the Rabrons.
Yeah, we went to school together.
Right. Okay, I got you.
We did.
So you're tied into the whole Auburn Opelika crowd.
That's right.
That's right. Some of y'all are still hanging around here.
Yep.
Yeah, I got you.
I moved and never thought I'd be back, and now I'm back.
Right. Well, you're still an hour south working.
Yep. Yep. So after about a year here, took the job as the manager of Twin Oaks. Twin Oaks is in Midway, so it's in between Hurtsboro and Union Springs.
Right.
It's very much a part of that old southern Alabama quail plantation.
Yep. Lots of plantations down there. Lots of big plantations, big name plantations, and lots of bird dogs. I mean, it's I like to call it the bird dog capital of the world. I think it's technically the field dog capital, field trial dog capital of the world. Right. And they've got that beautiful statue there and that mural in the middle of the town, and man, it's beautiful. But and everywhere around there is beautiful. But yeah, a lot of history around there. A lot of really cool dog men around there, which hopefully I'll be able to interview some. Frank Healy. Yeah. I think I'll be talking to him possibly tomorrow. Big setter guy down there. But anyway, so you're at Twin Oaks, and tell us a little bit about Twin Oaks before we get going further.
Okay. So Twin Oaks is a full commercial plantation. When I say commercial, that means we do deer, quail, and turkey hunts. Main focus is quail. We do very little deer and very little turkey hunt.
You guys had a really good turkey season, though, from what I remember talking to you.
We
this
have a
year.
great turkey population.
Yeah. That whole area is really covered
It really
up.
does. It's because of the rich history in quail hunting, that area of Alabama never really lost habitat management.
Right. And because I think that quail, turkey, deer kind of fall in line to an extent, with
Correct.
management.
I mean, I don't. You may have learned it in school, but
I didn't learn nothing in school.
I did. It's if you manage for quail, you're managing for everything else.
Right.
And that's what everybody does around there. They manage for quail.
Exactly.
So, like I said, we're very fortunate to have a good turkey population when a lot of the South is in a decline.
Oh yeah, big time. Well, and let's see. So you guys do put and take operations, right?
Yep.
And so let's talk about that habitat that you manage for every year. So at the places I've been to and helped manage, I've never been a manager per se anywhere. But the places I've been to and helped manage, it is either, and the best way I think is to utilize prescribed burning, right? You burn, and then if you need to plant some strips of stuff, you do that. But the best way that I've done it is burn, and of course you got to get your natives established. But for put and take birds, right? You're managing for cover. And so that's basically your native grasses, right? So you're burning, and then what I would used to do is right when your cover would get up to about shin height, maybe knee height, you'd go over and spray, the whole fields with something like Plateau or a selective herbicide that would kill basically, and mixed with like metsulfuron or broadleaf, killer or whatever. Yeah. But you'd basically spray herbicide that would kill everything except for those native grasses, right? Yeah. Because you just want that cover there.
That's right.
And it's a little bit different from wild bird management in terms of that, because I think I told a class, and I hope I'm not lying to them. It was Goldsby's class, Dr. Goldsby's class out there, and I always get nervous when I'm talking about my management concepts to him, because he's he has all the info right here. So I'm trying to not misspeak on anything. But I told these guys, these kids in that class, that the differentiation between penbird habitat or penbird habitat management and wild quail management is really, I think it comes down to, if you're burning every year or every other year, burn rotation and herbicide. And I think that herbicide, you're more so spot spraying for things you don't want there in a wild bird sense, where in a penbird sense, you just want cover. So you may be spraying the whole fields inch to inch, every single inch.
So, and we're a little unique in that Twin Oaks, really all it had ever been until about 5-6 years ago was a cattle farm.
Yeah.
So unlike the majority of quail plantations in the area, we're converting old pasture land into quail course.
Tough.
Very tough because of Bahia.
I didn't know that.
And cool, any cool season hay grass.
So basically, and what you might be already explaining is what is y'all's process from pretty much now, the summer, it's July right now. So say end of season, when do y'all burn? Probably, I don't know, March-ish, somewhere around there.
So obviously we have to get through with actual quail season before we burn.
Yeah.
And, we do burn some, and then we actually go and we cut everything.
Yeah.
And
so you flat mow right after you burn. Yeah.
Yeah. And then about maybe a month after that, I'm going to go and I'm going to spray a broadleaf weed killer.
Right.
Mostly to keep briars out. Mm-hmm. Which sounds counterintuitive for anybody that's educated or has been around wild birds, because briars are cover for predators, and they do create a little bit of thermal cover.
Yeah. But that's not the goal of the plantation.
Yeah, the goal is for everybody to have a good experience.
Right.
One thing briars do, they tangle you up, cut you up, and they cut dogs up.
Cut the dog up. Yep.
So we try to keep it as pleasant as possible. Now I do have some areas that I am increasing some woody or herbaceous cover, just to create a little bit of variety and maybe make it feel a little more like a wild bird plantation.
Right.
And that's kind of a long-term goal of mine there.
I believe a good word that I learned in college was heterogeneity, right? A little bit of a mixture in
that's right.
species.
That's right.
But anyway, yeah, that's exactly.
And then, so one thing that we also do is we have strips of milo that we plant.
Right.
And
I know a good few places do that.
Well, this before I was there, obviously, I've only been there almost a year now, but it's just something they've done every year to start with.
Right.
You don't really get native grasses immediately after converting hayfield.
Right. No. Yeah. Especially
so you got to have some cover.
Right. Yeah. 100%.
And the positive thing is that you get a seed head, which is food.
Right.
It's great for deer, quail, and turkey.
Yep.
So
absolutely. Up in New York, they can't. They have to plant every single year, like everything. They have to plant their natives. They have to plant. I believe this is what. Let's see. One of the Orvis shooting grounds up there, Santa Nona. I worked at Orvis shooting grounds at Personal Farms, and so we were burning and herbiciding every single year to get those natives up. And they were like, "You guys are lucky we get to do this because up there in New York, they're on the planter every single year, because they're a lot more strict on herbicide up there, right? And I believe fire too. It's one of the two, or maybe it's both of them. But those poor guys, they gotta get out there on the tractor and plant everything every year. But oh well, it's part of it.
That's part of it, man.
Part of it.
I mean, that's part of being in the world we're in.
Yeah, it is for sure. And just like bird dogs, you always gotta. Bird dogs and land management are similar in the fact that you're always working on them.
That's right.
You're always maintaining them to an extent. You're always trying to tweak them a little bit, right? So that's the connection I like to get from land management and bird dogs.
Yeah.
It's never over.
That's a lot
and
if
you stop working on it, if you stop working on one or the other, they're going to deteriorate.
That's right. And a lot of people that come down and hunt with us, or they ask that same question. Well, what do you do during the summer? Is this what you do all year? Or are you just down here, during the hunting season?
Off season. They call it the off season.
That's right.
No such thing.
And I think what most people don't understand is it looks like it does for a reason. We spend all year working as hard as we can for aesthetics, really.
Right.
Because we want it to look a certain way for November through mid-March when all our clients are in.
Right. So do y'all I know preserve season down here is October through March.
Yeah.
When do y'all start and when do y'all end? Because I know a lot of places start a little later and cut off a little earlier due to heat and burning and the land management aspect.
So we try to start first week of November.
Right. I like that a lot.
Just so we can still, there's a lot to do up until November. But it's also so hot. In Alabama, it could be 80 degrees and it's going to be December.
People want to hunt that first week of October, and I've told places I'm not guiding first week of October because it is hot.
It's hot, which is dangerous for the dogs.
Right.
The scent conditions are terrible.
Right, exactly. It's everything. Every element of that is just setting up for a bad hunt. You know. And I really do appreciate places like yours, like Twin Oaks, that start a little bit later. For the quality of the hunt, the safety of the dogs, everything. It just makes it so much better.
That's right. And so we finish sometime in March. A lot of places are based on bird availability and what the spring ends up being like. We don't like to put a exact date on it in March because it could be 100 degrees in February, or maybe we have an easy spring and it doesn't heat up till April. So maybe we hunt all the way till the end.
Right.
And then the biggest question for basically every put and take place is going to be birds.
Yeah.
Raising quail is not I'm not going to say it's an exact science.
Yeah.
You order a certain amount, but these guys are dealing with hundreds of thousands of birds for the most part. Your big raisers are, and you really don't know what you have until you go in and try to transport them.
Right.
So everybody's kind of playing that, well, let me see what I have game there at the end.
I'm going to shout out my, because the business I run is all about birds as well. You can't have bird dogs or gun dogs without birds, So I'm going to shout Mims Game Bird Farm out, Central Alabama. Clanton, Alabama, Mims Game Bird Farm. I've been to a lot of different places. I haven't seen better birds than him, than his place. And I talked to Jason. I believe he took over Mims, let's see, a few years back. But anyway, he runs a great ship. He's a great guy. So if you guys get a chance and you need birds for dog training or private hunts or whatnot, go to Mims Game Bird Farm, Clanton, Alabama. Quick shout out right there. He's a good guy. He takes care of me, so I'm trying to give it back. But anyway, let's see here. So, you guys do November, first week of November, and then you pretty much play it by ear in March. Okay. Hey, it's looking, and you're looking at the weather the whole time. You're like, okay, that week we got to cut it off.
We try to keep March a little open as well, just so we have some room for like rain cancellations.
Yeah.
We were pretty lucky last year. Only had a few hunts that we had to move or where we couldn't hunt. But
does it get real muddy around y'all's place? I know at Ian and Plantation. It was muddy.
We have mud holes.
Yeah.
But not terrible. We have a lot of sand where we're at.
Right. Yeah.
Fortunately, it drains pretty well.
Some of those roads over there when I was training dogs were like, if it rained, if you go out, you got. I had Frank on my phone about to call him every time. I almost got stuck with the tractor, because it's like, But the dogs need to get run.
Yeah, and most of our quail courses, not to be punny or anything, but they're more in an upland setting. Not in our lowland areas.
Oh, why are you on this? Why am I interviewing you?
Yeah.
No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah.
They're more upland.
Yes.
And you're hunting quail.
Yes.
Man.
Yeah.
That's a mind blower.
Well, some people may not know. Some places set their plantation or their bird courses out in wherever they can.
That's
so
true.
you may have some really red clay, muddy,
I'll tell you what,
swampy areas.
I don't know if you've ever done this. And have you ever had like personal pointing dogs, like bird dogs, or have you always been flush retriever guy?
Well, I've got one on the way.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah. But for the most part, it's all been flusher retriever.
I got you.
As far as my personal dogs.
So talking about places that do it where they can. I did a lot of. I'm stepping away from it next year, and we'll talk about that next. But I did a lot of commercial guiding, namely for Orvis, but I did a lot of private guiding too. On the side, so like private party, and some places. You show up, you have the birds, you got the dogs, you show up, and people are like, "Here's the field," and you're like, "That's a field," it's the worst, and they got log piles everywhere, and the birds get in those log piles, and sometimes it's a disaster. You show up, and you make the best of it, but that's part of the guiding game right there, especially the private land guiding game. And then you've also been to some beautiful places that are better than these some of these preserves. But anyway, and then. So I'll let's see. Introduce your dog, and we'll talk a little bit about her.
All right.
Your pup dog.
Yeah.
First of all, I apologize to everybody watching this. I hope people are watching this, but I apologize to everybody who is taking the time right now. He's a doodle man, okay? He's a doodle man, and he's never going to live it down. And he's trying to change it because he's going the opposite end of the spectrum. He's getting a Drotthar, right? So he's trying to balance soft baby doodleness with badass Drottharness, right?
Yeah,
he's trying to find a balance there.
That's right.
But he's never going to live it down. And I just want you to know that personally.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, so, it's a life stage to get married. Everybody tells you to get married. That's how the whole doodle thing happened.
Yeah.
It's hard to turn down a wedding present to my wife. And that's kind of how this dog, Willow, that's how she happened.
Jam up dog, though.
Surprisingly, yes. So I started out with a lab, and plantation life, you just take your dog with you, hang out, ride in the tractor, do whatever. So got her as a wedding present, took her to the plantation with me.
Right.
Just kind of let her go, and I'll be honest, didn't even touch her other than obedience until about the 5-month stage. Was training in my lab. Was like, I'm just.
Well, 5 months is still very young. A lot of people aren't touching dogs till they're 1-2 years old.
Oh yeah. I just am if you're gonna train, I like the day you get them.
Yeah.
Is when you start.
Yeah.
Not necessarily.
And whether you like to train or not, the day you get them is when you start.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah,
that's right.
But I got you. So you were doing obedience up to
just
the 5.
Obedience. Right. Did nothing with retrieving whatsoever. Just started playing with her. I was like, well, let's see what she does. She's a very high-driven dog. You've seen it.
Yeah.
She has a lot of go to her. So she showed pretty good intensity with just fun bumpers, going and getting a ball. I was like, that's kind of interesting. So worked a little more with her, and I was like, dang, she's pretty sporty. Let me just see how far I can take her, and did a bird introduction with a pigeon.
Gotcha.
And the whole game changed. She
saw some fire.
Well, she went from being like, hey, this dog's got some pretty good drive, to like, you gotta hold her back because she's so intense that she can't think about anything other than the retrieve or the bird,
right,
or just going and getting it. That's all she cares about. And long story short, trained her to a full finished retriever. Get a lot of crap because she is a doodle, but I gotta say,
I love so much that you have a doodle. It's like my favorite thing.
I know. You give me at least 2 or 3 texts a week about it.
Oh, it's fun. It makes my day. When I'm having a bad day, I think about that and I'm like, God, life is good.
To I guess define a full finished retriever, I'm talking, runs blinds, hand signals, everything. She's been fully force fetched, all that.
Plus experience.
Yes, plus experience.
That's my opinion between a started dog and a finished dog is finished in training.
Yeah.
Finished is finished in training and has experience in the field, right? Now, opinions will vary with whatever you're talking about with dogs, but opinions will vary, especially on a finished dog and a started dog. I think most people out there who send their dog to training think it's finished when it comes back, right?
That's right.
And you have to really explain to them that no, your dog's it's got a really good base, a really good foundation. Even if it spends 6 months with you or whatever, it has a great foundation, great start. It might know everything that you want it to know, but you have to apply that to your lifestyle, even at home,
That's right.
with whatever you do day to day. If you take your dog to work, it's got to get experience in that. Especially, if it's a hunting dog and, if you send your dog away, hopefully it'll be a hunting dog during the season, you got to hunt that dog and give it those hunting experiences that it will not experience in training to finish it up. And it might be a couple hunts where somebody thinks, okay, finished. Might be a season, might be 2 seasons where you're like, okay, that dog's truly finished. But and that leads me into the prime age. Well, I'll ask you, what do you think the prime age of a dog is?
So kind of a longer answer is, I think there's a difference between a finished pointing dog from training and what a finished lab retriever would be.
Okay.
I personally consider a started retriever as it'll run up to 2 to 3 memory birds for marks.
Gotcha.
Whereas a finished, I'm going to say runs blinds, takes hand signals, and where you're saying finished, I'm going to say seasoned.
Gotcha.
But I think it's different for a pointer in that a started dog should be able to point, should be able to, be steady.
Yeah.
And then the only thing that you have to do from there to finish the dog would be experience with.
Yeah.
And
this is the beauty about the bird dog world. Everybody's got their own kind of deal with dogs, and none of it's wrong, right?
So
where some people will say, "Hey, you're wrong." It's like hey,
answer
a different
your
way
question.
To look at it.
Willow, I'm gonna say, is a finished dog.
Right.
She's just turned 3 or fixing to turn 3.
Right.
So I'm gonna say she's not fully seasoned yet.
Right.
I think a dog is in its prime in its, 4 to 5 year old stage.
Yeah, that's exactly. I think 4, 5, and 6 years old is generally speaking that dog's prime.
Yeah.
Where they go out there, they know everything you want them to do before you say it. Right.
That's right.
You have that bond with the dog that you've created over seasons, and you've put in all that work, and it's just everything's just chemical, right? So, I think 4, 5, and 6 is the prime of a dog. Anyway, let's get back to the guiding aspect. So. This past season, I got a text from you of that dog there, Willow, a picture of her laying at Auburn University Emergency Vet Hospital, laying on the table, shaved with a pile of BBs in her.
Yep.
So a nightmare scenario for, I think, everybody with a sporting dog out there happened to you this past season. And I want you to walk us through it without tearing up.
Yeah. Yeah.
And you good on a refreshment? You need to know before we start this.
I'll need one after this. But,
we'll switch to the brown water.
Yeah. No, we'll be good.
Anyway, all right. So yeah.
First off, she's 100% back to normal.
Yes.
Absolute freaking miracle that. I mean, she's not gun shy. Last week she's running blinds back out over 100 yards.
You brought her out here and worked her before we. This is actually the second time we tried to do this podcast.
Yeah.
But anyway, we got it.
Yeah. So, yes.
You brought her out here. She was doing phenomenal. I've seen her. And actually, within a month, she was doing a lot better than y'all thought.
She was back in the water.
Yeah.
Half of her body shaved.
Crazy.
A month after being shot.
Which, from what she came, and I'll let you get to that. So, okay, walk us through on the hunt.
Okay.
All right, what happened on the hunt? What'd you do immediately after? Where'd you go immediately after?
Yep.
And then we'll just walk us through.
Okay, so as a pet peeve of mine, I am very selective about who I let my personal dogs hunt around, especially in the flushing scenario because of exactly what happened. Was with a group of very experienced hunters. I never start out using my personal dogs. I always run a plantation-owned dog.
Right.
So we made it through 7, 8 coveys, get her on the ground. We make it through 2 coveys, no issue. 3rd covey, all the birds get up. I had a Brittany, a short hair, and her on the ground.
You had a whole pile of dogs.
Yep. So I typically run 2 dogs at a time with a flush dog.
Right. A diverse group of breeds.
Yes. So
Covey gets
up. I see 3 birds fall. There's 1 single shot after the 3 birds fall. I'm not really paying that much of attention to the dogs. But I noticed that she spins like something got her.
Mm-hmm.
And I think I may have even said, what the hell happened? Cue the blood. Oh shit, she's been shot. Immediately run, pick her up, take off running back to our guide buggy. We use Jeeps, pulling a bird or a dog trailer with seats on it.
Right.
Very fortunately, one of the other clients that was there helped grab the other 2 dogs, and we're just dead sprinting through the field.
Yeah.
Get back to the Jeep, get immediately to my truck, just hop in the front seat of my truck with her in my lap.
Yep.
and absolutely haul ass to the vet hospital in Union Springs.
Right. Walking on the moon.
Yeah. Shout out to them.
Good people.
Saved her life. 100% saved her life because she was in very bad shape when we got there. Collapsed lung. They reinflated the lung, got her started on fluids. We stabilized her. This whole time we're talking about getting to the university hospital, which is, one of the top animal hospitals in the country, for sure.
100%.
Towards the end of me being in Union Springs, she kind of starts to decline a little bit, and they're checking spots, and they pull a pretty good sized syringe of blood out of her abdomen. So then we know there's internal bleeding, and now it's basically a race to Auburn to save her life.
Right.
Typically that drive is about an hour.
Yeah.
I think I made it there in 25 minutes.
Yeah.
Any law enforcement listening, it was for a good reason, I think.
Yep.
I
think anybody would have tried to do that. Doesn't pay to have the 250 in that scenario.
Yeah. No, I think I turned the flashers on my truck and just rode the center line as far as I could go.
I'm going through it.
I won't say how fast I was going, but it was fast.
Right.
Like scaring me driving the whole time, just talking to her, holding her head in one hand, trying to keep her alert and awake.
Absolute nightmare scenario.
Yep. Get her to Auburn.
We're proud of you, girl.
And they take her back, and then it's just a waiting game. Eventually I did call my wife.
I was about to ask, when did you call your wife?
When I got to Auburn, called my wife. She was ready to severely injure me.
Yeah.
Because that's the one thing,
It's her dog that you get to borrow.
It's her dog, correct. And so at Auburn, we learned how extensive the injuries are. They do a full shave, realize that she has taken basically every BB out of the shot. She was directly hit. Finally gave me some time to play it back in my head to what happened. Realized there was a fourth bird that got up, was very low. She was the last dog in line of the 3 dogs on the ground, and luckily she was tucked while running, meaning her back leg was forward, her front leg was back. So she took the majority of it
in the
the hind quarter.
Yeah.
Like I'm pretty sure the wad hit her.
Right.
And then from there, everything, you could, I guess, really see the shot string because it went from hind end up through the body into the shoulder. You can still feel the BBs that weren't taken out in her front shoulder,
There's
hind
a pile
leg.
It's crazy to me feeling those right now.
Yeah.
It's nuts.
So Auburn tries to stabilize her, takes a bunch of blood, a bunch of plasma, trying to get her to surgery just to explore, see where she's bleeding from. They can't get her stabilized, so then she's going to die if we do nothing. We're going to just go do surgery. She's probably not going to make it. She's still bleeding in her lung. Don't know what'll happen, but it's all we got. So that's what we did. And over a very sleepless night, I think we finally went back to our house close to midnight, and then the vets called at maybe 1 a.m. and then maybe 3:30 in the morning, something like that.
Yeah.
She had the absolute best care.
That vet stayed after her shift.
So the original trauma vet that saw her, I think, stayed from the moment that she was there until she was out of surgery and recovered. like 6 hours past her shift. Without her, who knows where she would be. The surgeon team, absolutely incredible. Went in, found everywhere that was bleeding. She had to have a full gastrointestinal reconstruction, so that means part of her stomach was taken out, part of her large intestine, small intestine was all shortened. So that was the next hurdle we had to get to after they told us that she was back and had made it out and come out of anesthesia without, the very possible happening. And I think that next day is where I had the picture that I sent to you. And she went from not being able to move the first day, she kind of sat up a little bit. The second day, the third day, she walked in to see us. The fourth day, we freaking took her home.
Yeah.
So she got shot on a Tuesday, and actually maybe she was there 5 days because on Saturday we took her home. And when we walked her out, she tried to jump into my truck. So that tells you just how far she came in a small period of time.
It's an incredible story and one that will hopefully last for a lot longer. And the only thing, and I hate to bring this up too, but the only thing that would worry me as an owner is the lead, right?
That's right.
Because the BBs were left in there because they don't take them out, right? There's too many.
Yeah, it's just too.
What do they say? Why do they not take the BBs out?
It's too traumatic to the muscular system to try to go in and dig every BB out. What they do is they do an X-ray to check and make sure that there's none in a joint.
Right.
Because if it's in a joint, then the lead can be absorbed by the blood.
Mm-hmm.
Lead poisoning.
Yeah.
As long as the BBs stay in the muscular tissue, don't get within anywhere that absorbs the lead, then technically she should be okay. However, with that extensive of a surgery, everything that went on, you never know. It's basically a ticking time bomb. It could happen any time.
Right.
But we're very fortunate to still have her with us.
Absolutely.
And regardless if she ever hunted again, I don't care.
Right.
I mean, she has
family first, and that's what most dogs are, family first.
And
right?
very few people get to experience what she was, even up to the point she got shot. I mean, she was a very special dog, very talented, really, really, really good dog.
And I wanna bring this up too, because a lot of people are gonna hear the story and say, "Man, I would have killed that guy who shot her. I would have beat his ass," whatever.
Yeah.
But in the situation, if you think about it, I'm sure you can elaborate here. But in the situation, I mean, you're thinking about nothing but getting that dog to where it needs to be, to the care it needs to be, right?
That's right.
You're not thinking of anything. You're not angry at the moment. You are scared shitless, and you are getting that dog to where she needs to be.
So, to be honest, immediately after it happened, I didn't even know who shot her, one, how bad it was. All I know is, oh crap, she's been shot. She's like still kind of moving around. Maybe it's not that bad. I don't really know. And the more that I carry her back to the vehicle, the more I realize, oh shit, this is bad.
Right.
But yeah, I mean, first off, beating the crap out of the guy is not going to do anything. It's probably going to be, in the situation, have been more repercussions on me.
Absolutely.
At the end of the day, we love our dogs, but human lives outweigh dogs' lives. Not saying I'd have done anything bad.
In your opinion, yes.
Yeah. Well, in the state's opinion, I think that's kind of how it works.
In the state's opinion.
But
that's right.
Yeah. So it was all about the dog in that scenario.
Right.
The rest of it was to be figured out later.
Yeah, I mean, I think I've heard that a million times. There, that people are like, "Oh, I would kill him.
Also,
I would beat him up." But you can't focus on anything else but getting your dog. If it is still alive, getting your dog the care it needs, because every moment you waste, I mean, she was almost dead.
Yeah.
She was within minutes of death, And if you took the time to go confront whoever shot her or try to find out, she'd be dead. You know? Think about that. That's crazy.
Also, to clarify, she was not airborne when she got shot. She was not at a great amount of distance. I stepped it off. It was 30 feet, so 10 yards. It was a huge lack of judgment on the shooter's behalf. And, you know, it's just something
good girl.
That at 10 yards, you have to be aiming straight at the ground. You know, maybe the trigger got bumped. I don't know. It happened. I try not to dwell on it.
Right.
But just to clarify for those who, you know, have maybe seen that out there or saying, oh, well, you know, maybe the dog wasn't seen. Maybe she jumped. Maybe whatever. No, she was running on the ground, all fours on the ground. Could have just as easily been any other dog there because they were maybe 5 yards in front
and
of her.
Any other person. I want to make this clear. I don't care how many years of experience you have or how safe you think you are. Accidents can 100% happen.
That's right.
And they are avoidable, right? They are avoidable if you take your time and be careful, right? So
it comes back to the thing that every outfitter, every guide harps on, and that's gun safety, shooter safety, and awareness. You know, I thought that I was strict beforehand, and, you know, I'm sure I was, but now it's even more so. You know, I have personal experience with it. I know what can happen if you're not safe. Fortunately, you know, it wasn't a person that got shot who, you know, who knows what could have happened. And, you know, it's one of those things you live and you learn. Everybody from now on will be held to a much higher standard. When you start being lackadaisical is when mistakes happen.
Right. And I'd like to say, you know, before you go and tell a guide, because this happens to me, or it used to happen to me all the time when I was guiding a lot. Before you go and tell somebody, hey, we don't need the safety talk, man. We've been doing this for years. You know, we'll be good. Shut up and listen to that safety talk one more time and actually listen to it instead of getting on your phone, checking ESPN, instead of getting on your, you know, talking with your buddy. Just listen to your guide's safety talk, maybe a little bit different than another person's safety talk. You know, listen to the general manager's safety talk and try to remember something that maybe you forgot before and follow it to a T, right? And just, you know, you got to realize that a bird's life, and it's so silly, it feels silly for me to say this, but a bird's life is nowhere near, you know, the you know, extent that our dog's life is.
That's right. So, hey, and from a, you know, my point of view, I can promise you there's more birds out there. You know, it's not the only birds you're going to see that day, so letting it go. And, you know, we do have dogs that can find birds, so let's watch them go find the bird again. You know, let's set up in a safer scenario.
Right. She heard us talking about it. She's getting all anxious.
Yeah. Willow.
Yeah. So, and the thing I hate hearing out there is when people and I you know, I love competition just as much as the next guy, but when you hear somebody like start making wagers or whatnot out there, I'm like, nope, we're not doing any of that crap, because people are like, oh, I can get one more bird than him, say it's close or whatever. They start shooting low or start doing whatever. You know, it's just, I tell people whenever I guide, I'm like, all right, everybody, we are out here to watch the dogs work. Shooting birds is a bonus. And that's the mindset I want everybody to have, right? We're out here to watch the bird dogs work, and shooting birds, if you get to harvest a bird, that's a bonus. But, you know, it's the ballet of the sporting world, right? These bird dogs going through it. It's a really cool art form, and one that I hope we never lose. And that's just it, you know. So everybody be careful out there and have fun and enjoy the dog work, right? And I want to transition now into, I'm going to get another beverage here in a second if you need one too. But I want you to start explaining what your guys' summer routine is for the dogs that are in the off season, right? Yeah. So not really an off season, but for off hunting season, what do you guys do with your dogs? Run us through that.
Okay. So for the most part, it's about conditioning. After a long season like we have, the dogs are going to be run down. So we like to give them a little bit of a break, let them build some muscle back up, maybe build a little bit of fat back up too, and then we're going to start light conditioning, and we may do, start with 2 days a week, build up to 3 days a week, and as long as I am at least conditioning 3 days a week to start with, then I am going to mix in some roading. If you guys don't know what that is, just look it up. It's basically a harness it's like weight training for a dog.
And fitness.
Yeah.
A lot of, like cardio, keeping them cut, keeping them in shape.
And,
not fat and lazy on the couch with mama.
Then we also mix in some bird work as well. I do have 2 short hair pups that I bought from you,
right,
that I am working on steadiness with, and that's kind of what you're doing with all the dogs too. They need to be tightened back up on steadiness.
Right, and that's not just for bird dogs, it's for gun dogs as well.
That's right.
They need to be steady until release.
Then my flush dogs, you just run through obedience constantly.
Mm-hmm.
You work on retrieving hand.
Mm-hmm.
I have a young cocker pup that I'm working through force fetch right now.
And here's the thing too. So with the older dogs that may know what they're doing, you're more so maintaining them, right? Keeping them fit,
Yep.
maintaining them throughout the summer, and then you focus on the younger dogs, developing them
That's
through
right.
and through,
Yep.
And that's something I want people to take away as well from this conversation is just because your dog is a seasoned vet doesn't mean you can't still brush up on something, keep them fit, or do something with them, right?
Yeah.
Because, and I talk about this in the Diamond Bird Dogs development series coming out soon, hopefully, but the best mindset I think somebody should have for their dog is that it is a professional athlete. It will always need a certain amount of training, exercise, diet, and rest. Oh, you hit the roughie. But all those components, right? So if you see a professional athlete in the off season just sit on his butt or sit on her butt on the couch eating potato chips, and then they come back during season and think they're going to be just as good as they were when that season ended,
That's right.
you're out of your mind, So they need to be kept up, right? But you guys are developing younger dogs through and through while you're maintaining those older dogs, right?
Yep.
Yeah, I got you. Well, cool, man. Well, hey, I think that about wraps it up. Any other things we need to touch on?
Well,
Anything? Hey, ask me some questions. I want to be
I was
interviewed.
going to say, you hear my backstory,
Yeah.
but don't know your backstory or.
Well, I like to keep that a secret.
Yeah.
Yeah, I got enemies out there, man.
Yeah. Well, so does
When
everybody.
you achieve this level of success and start wearing gold whistles around your neck, this is plastic. It's not gold.
And it's
I'm getting
orange.
there. It is orange. Well, I had to match my hair, man.
Yeah, that's
It's
right.
just feng shui. That's what it is. But no, you want to hear my backstory?
Yeah. I want to hear what got you into dogs.
All right. And I want to hear that about you too. But I already heard,
Yeah. And the whole what got you into dogs, and your process of becoming a pro trainer.
Okay. All right. So what got me into dogs is similar to what got a lot of people into dogs. It was a dog, right? And namely a family dog, a family German Short-haired Pointer. We didn't use it for hunting at all. Hey, you're a good girl. You tough girl. We're proud of you. Proud of you. Oh, she got the itches. She knows who the dog man is.
That's right.
See? Hey, girl. Hey, baby. You're such a good girl. But anyway, we had a family GSP named Laverne. And this will be for the older generations out there, but there was a show named Laverne and Shirley out there, and she had a sister. Our family GSP had a sister named Shirley in the neighborhood. So it was Laverne and Shirley right there in the neighborhood. But anyway, I grew up fishing, just bass fishing. That was pretty much it, just fish, right? Didn't have anything to do with bird dogs until we got that, quote-unquote bird dog. But again, she was just a family dog. And so I love GSPs. Right when I got into college, I got another GSP, and that one, and I was getting into hunting and all, but I didn't know, bird hunting and everything, every kind of hunting, but I didn't know I was going to train that dog up really. And when I got that dog, and from the moment we did little obedience stuff, it was like my favorite thing ever, because it was very challenging. And once she understood what I wanted her to do, like a wave of reward just came over me. And it still does to this day, because, right. and the reason why it's so rewarding is because it's so dang challenging to get these dogs to where they need to be. And I think that most of that challenge is just time. I mean, you hear the biggest saying in dog training is it takes patience, and patience comes with time, because you're going to be putting in the work. You're going to be consistent about putting in the work, but that doesn't mean it'll just take, a finite amount of time. It could take a long time. Yeah. I won't even say anything because it varies with each, training sect, but, just takes a lot of time. So anyway, I got hooked, and I started working with that dog every single day, every single day, doing something with that dog, doing something with family friends' dogs, doing things with my friends' dogs in college, with friends of friends' dogs, and so I grew my experience with different dogs and their personalities, their temperament, how to handle hard dogs, how to handle soft dogs, how to handle gun dogs, how to handle bird dogs. And I had 4 short hairs before I graduated college, right? And I was training and I was hunting, wing shooting only. I got into, I quickly learned that I hate deer hunting. I can't stand it. If I do something without my dogs, I like to, my granddad, I got passed down an old Winchester Model 94 30-30, and I like to go out to Tuskegee National Forest because they're rid up with pigs, and I like to stalk pigs. I don't like sitting around. I like to walk and try to stock up on pigs, and that was a lot of fun for me. When it was the off season, I wasn't training, and I didn't hunt with my dogs. But other than that, wing shooting, and I use my short hairs for waterfowl and upland. I think that my favorite now is upland by hair, because I can use all my dogs for it. Where waterfowl, I'll take 1, maybe 2 out to the barn, right? I'm not taking all my 6 short hairs out there that I currently have right now, and 1 boykin. Got a pile of dogs in my house. Yeah. But anyway, but that, I went to Nebraska in college and helped. I'll shout them out. Pheasant Bonanza, great place if you want a really grade A experience for namely pheasant hunting up there. It's a great place. But I helped a head trainer, Sam Fulton at the time. I was pretty much up there with my dog, and I was the bird boy, and just soaked up as much experience as I could from him and Trent Licklider up there. Great people, and that was a really, really big summer for me. I think I spent 4 or 5 months up there, and it really, more so than working with them, they also, Trent was a great boss in that, if you got all your work done for the day, the summer days were very long, right? So, and Nebraska was so much nicer than Alabama in terms of there was always a breeze. Usually it was always cool, at least in the mornings or the evenings it would get cool, but the breeze helped so much. So if you got your work done, he would let me, buy birds from them, and they had like pretty much unlimited bird access for, self-training and whatnot. So he would let me buy birds from them and go out with my dog during the evenings or in the mornings before work, and really not the mornings before work because you'd be working before it was even light out. So really every evening right at sundown, it was just the most beautiful thing ever. In the bluffs of Nebraska, you'd be going out. I'd be training my dog solo after, helping the dog trainer out all day or whatnot, doing various things because, jack of all trades in this industry is what you got to do. But anyway, I had a lot of one-on-one time with my dog then, and I got to pick up a lot of new techniques that I still use today. And that's something, I'm always learning something new, right? Yeah. I've been doing this and it sounds very short to a lot of people, but 7 years, right? I'm in my 7th year of doing this. And, a lot of people are like, man, that's nothing. But I'll tell you what, if you do something every single day, and I mean every single day, if you make it your passion, if you do something every single day for even 1 year, you pick up on some stuff, right? Do it every single day. I mean, holidays, you don't take breaks, right? Especially when you start your own thing. Don't take breaks. So you do something every single day for however much time, you learn something. but you let your dogs do the talking to an extent. Now, that's a dangerous game, too, letting your dogs do the talking, because they'll make you look like an ass sometimes. Don't ever talk. I tell my clients, if you, I don't have too many clients to do hunt tests or whatnot, but I tell them, when you go to these things, don't talk your dog up, because it'll hear you, and it'll go out there and make an ass of you. You know?
I think anybody that has ever said, hey, watch what my dog can do, or my dog can do this, and then tries to get your dog out there and actually do it.
Yep.
It goes horribly wrong.
Yep, I've done it. I think everybody learns that hard
And I'm
way.
sure you've had your fair share of, like, as far as client dogs go, like, oh, your dog's here, and then the client comes to see the progress.
Right.
And maybe the dog
acts up that day. Yeah, 100%. I mean, it happens all the time. Yeah. I won't say all the time, but it definitely happens, and especially because the dogs we focus on family sporting dogs, right? At Diamond Bird Dogs, we focus on family sporting dogs. So most of these dogs, 99% of these dogs, are in the house, family companions, right? And then they also have the ability to be very good hunters in the field. So when they come in, it may be a lot of times, they come at like 6 months to a year old, a lot of times to a year and a half or 2 years old, and they're very attached to their family. They've never been outside of that environment, that home, suburban environment. And so when they see their parents after, however many months, even if it's 2 months or 3 months or 4 months, whatever, when they see them again, they're going to act up. Yeah, it could be, right? And so, they're going to act up. So it's really, I'm a dog trainer, but 90% of my job is being a people trainer, right? So setting expectations, right, for, say, a session midway through training, or for an exit session, right? On, hey, I'm expecting, and you should expect this dog to not be as focused as it maybe would without me here or without you here, because you guys are reconnecting for the first time in however long. But I tell people, get them back. Keep working on what we've been doing, to maintain them and progress them, and mostly to get them into the routine at home where they're taking commands from you, and they're not going back to the lifestyle of most of these dogs are just, allowed to do whatever they want, because people don't feel like they have the knowledge or the skills to, train a dog, which I believe everybody does. It's just a matter of effort, really. And knowledge, I love helping people. I answer calls and help people. I don't do a consulting fee or whatever. If people call me asking for advice, I'd give them my 2 cents. And there's a ton of different opinions out there, but I try to help everybody I can with their dog. But get your dog back home. Keep working on them for forever. But the first couple weeks is very important for people to get that dog back and get it into a good routine, right? Instead of letting it fade back into what it was and just go crazy, because if that happens and you keep allowing it to happen, you better not chomp on that little rough grass there, girl. But she's being a good girl. But no, we definitely, that's something we we hate to see out there when a dog acts up. But most of the time I'll say, what we do is we take them up into the field, we let them get some energy out, let them get their crazy out, and then we start the exit session and we get into it, right? But no, it's just, that's part of it, right? That's part of it. But anyway, dogs acting up. So let's see. And then I guess back to me, I went from, Nebraska. I did wildlife enterprise management at Auburn University. And when I graduated, I already had a job with the Orvis Company at one of their shooting grounds in central Alabama called Orvis at Purcell Farms, Orvis Shooting Grounds at Purcell Farms, which was one of the 3 shooting grounds right now that's run by the actual Orvis Company. So that was cool. So I got in good with them. Great group of people and great company. And then so I graduated, had a full-time job with them. I was an upland hunting and clays coordinator out there. It was a lot of fun. I learned a ton about clay machines, which I never thought I would, like the inside, I could, and I hate to say this too, because it's like saying your dog's good, but I can fix really any problem on a clay machine now that I have all that experience. And that started in Nebraska actually with clay machines too, up there at Pheasant Bonanza. But anyway, got in with them. I started doing one-on-one. They saw me out there. I would show up to work 2 hours early, leave late because I was training my dogs before and after work, right? A really good mentor of mine up there was Chuck Baker. He's a great chief wing shooting instructor and just a great dog man in general to talk to about dogs. And he would be out there on the porch watching me sometimes just smiling. And it made me feel so good that somebody was recognizing the hard work that I put into the dogs, right?
Yeah.
And then I tried to start growing I was doing some one-on-one dog training there, and I started to try to grow that program, some dog training at that location. And it was very hard to, because Orvis is a family-run company, but it's a very big company and a very corporate company, right? So in order to get something up and up and up the ladder, it's very tough. So it was like, we'll circle back to the dog training thing at this point. We'll circle back at this point. We'll circle back at this point. I said, you know what, guys, I appreciate everything, but I'm going to go ahead and try it on my own and, try this deal out. So Diamond Bird Dogs was formed, and man, we've had a hell of a time getting started, and we've made a lot of people happy with their dogs, and I hope we continue to for many, many years. We got some cool stuff in the works, so that's where we are now, and I'm super excited about the future, right? It's a cool thing. And it definitely I joke about I get to play with puppies all day, all the time, but man, it's tough. It's hard work. It's not just being, especially the business end of it, right? Yeah. So that's something. I'm not a businessman, right? So it's hard to, I just want to deal with the dogs. That's all I want to do. But running a small business like Diamond Bird Dogs, or running a business in general, it's tough. There's a lot of elements to it. So hopefully we can grow it to be. I want it to be a family business in the future, but hopefully I can grow it to be, something big or bigger in the future that can help. And that's why we started doing this development series for, training videos at home. We're calling it the Diamond Bird Dogs Development Series, right? How we I'm saying this for a reason, how we develop our dogs and our client dogs, okay? And that doesn't mean it's the right or wrong way. It's how we do it. It works for us. It works for our clients. And I want people to have that ability, have that way of doing it, where there's a million different ways to do it, okay? I hear people argue all the time about, this is the way to do fetch, or this is the way to heal your dog. This is the way to do this. I'm like, man, there's about 100 different ways to do each of those, right?
Yep.
Now, some of them might be better than others for some people, but, every dog is going to have something that makes them click more. Every person with their ability, with their handling ability, is going to have something that helps them out more, right?
Yep.
And so the development series is our way of developing dogs. It works great for our dogs, so I hope everybody checks that out. And that's why we're going more online with our company in terms of the training videos, because we can reach a lot more people out there and help a lot more people, right? We're also getting into some really cool that we've done in the past, but demonstrations and seminars in front of people where they can all bring their dogs. They can enjoy just even a bird dog demo. We've done some youth demos before where we'll go out there and just we'll basically train the dogs in front of the youth and their families, because everybody knows what a bird dog looks like or a bird dog is, but not everybody knows what a bird dog's purpose is, like what they actually do. Flushing, retrieving dogs, pointing dogs, right? So we go out and display that, and that's something I'd like to get into a lot more, and we have plans on doing that throughout the next year. So anyway, things are looking really cool with that. We got this podcast to interview goofballs like yourself and your doodles, and golly, this might be she might have to be the only doodle we have on the podcast. I think that'd be fair. I think that'd be right.
Yep.
Legendary little doodle.
Yep.
Hey girl. But anyway, so that's me.
Well,
in a nutshell.
Yeah. Definitely a nut for sure.
Definitely a nut. That's absolutely
Definitely
true.
A nut. Well, anything else you want to cover?
Man, I think for the first ever Doggin' It podcast presented by Diamond Bird Dogs.
That's right.
Shout out to Diamond Bird Dogs. First Doggin' It interview. I don't know what to call this. I guess it's a podcast or an interview series, because we're gonna hopefully have these videos out on YouTube.
Yeah.
I guess it's a interview podcast series.
Yeah.
Anyway, Doggin' It. I like that. Dog, do you want to tell them what the name was gonna be?
I honestly can't even remember.
Oh, you remember? No.
But
no.
I guess before we go, I'll plug Twin Oaks real quick.
Absolutely.
So anybody interested in a first class quail hunt, twinoakshunting.com. That'll get you my contact info. We have a Facebook page, Instagram page. If you're curious what our lodging is like or anything like that, there's pictures there.
They put you in tents.
It's Twin Oaks Plantation. It's in Midway, Alabama. like I said, that contact on the website is my personal cell phone number. Give me a call. We'll talk. If you don't want to hunt, we'll talk dogs. I always like to talk dogs.
Yeah,
so.
That's one thing about guys like us in the dog world is, you get us going, you better be ready to go, because we'll talk.
That's right.
We'll talk.
That's right.
I believe y'all do these little like a tarp from Home Depot or whatnot. You could do like little teepees outside the grounds. You do 10 to a tent, 10 to a teepee. Yeah.
Oh, no, something a little nicer than that.
I'm just kidding. I've been to y'all's facilities, and it is outstanding. And you guys run a really good show there. It's one of the best in the Southeast, clearly.
Yep.
You guys have progressed in the over the years to be, one of the biggest names in the game. So, Lower Alabama, quail hunting, Mecca, the Mecca of quail in Alabama, right there around the Union Springs area. It's beautiful. So you guys check them out. And hey, man, let me give you a cheers before we get going.
Yeah.
But Trey Adkins, I appreciate you stopping by. She looks like she wants to go work, so we might go work some dogs real quick before we call it a day here.
Yeah, I think she's ready.
But anyway, all right, guys, stay tuned. I hope you enjoyed this. Hopefully we can get a lot more out to you. There'll be a lot more interesting individuals such as Trey here on this interview series. So thanks for stopping by. I need a better outro, and I'll get you that next time. Thanks for stopping by.
To Raw Dogging It with Dylan Diamond.
Okay, I'm going to cut that part. Oh, good.